It all started when my wish was granted. I had set an intention to become a humorous speaker on a larger scale. A week later, my phone rang. I was invited to give a humorous speech about our digital communication challenges at a prestigious executive conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. A few weeks later, I learned that I wasn't giving my talk during one of the breakout sessions. No, I was going to be one of the keynote speakers and addressing 500 key executives as I stood in front of jumbo screens on the big main stage. All this short middle-aged woman with a Queen's accent needed to do was create an out-of-the-box presentation that would keep a room full of type A executives looking up, laughing, and engaged for 45 minutes. Simple. So that was the day that panic and fear of failure became the godparents of my writing voice, who I christened my inner Queen's girl. We were going to hit the stage together, keep it authentic, and tell the audience like it is. For the next 6 months, I got ready to get ready. I wrote, edited, practiced, and tested my materials on willing and unsuspecting listeners until I had a tight, funny monologue. 2 weeks before the event, my phone rang. A male voice on the other end asked, "When are you meeting to plan the diversity and inclusion panel discussion?" To which I graciously responded, "I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. Perhaps you're confusing me with someone else." He paused and said, "No, I'm not. You're facilitating the session. Not me. I'm giving Wednesday's keynote. Read the agenda." So I did. Oh my God, I'm facilitating this session. How did this happen? And at that moment, I dimly recollected a brief conversation I had with the conference producer 6 months prior, where I casually mentioned in passing that I was a very good interviewer should she need one, and that including a DEI topic on the agenda would be a timely addition. Well, apparently the producer really liked my ideas. There was only one problem. She had forgotten to tell me. When the phone call ended, I admit it, I had a very animated New York City style reaction. But my windows were shut, and within a few minutes, I had regrouped and snapped into action. Fortunately, my panel consisted of 2 panelists who already knew each other, so I was able to organize our get-to-know-you planning sessions in record time. One panelist was the man who called me. He ran his own global company, and in my head, I nicknamed him the very tall white guy. The other panelist was a game-changing, glass ceiling breaking Asian American female who ran senior operations for a global brand. Things were going amazingly well, all considering. When we met at the conference center in Arizona, we bonded, hugged, and agreed on our hows, whats, and whens. We had a plan. We were good to go. When it came time for our event, I climbed up the steps to the big stage and strutted its huge floor with purpose towards the seating area, and then encountered the very, very low Italian designer couch, whose supple white leather immediately tried to suck me in the moment I sat down. I spent the next 30 seconds trying to perch on the edge of the couch and sit up as straight as I could so the audience could actually see me. I kicked off our session and focused on staying balanced. Everything went smoothly for a time. Questions were answered, no one interrupted, and I managed to remain on my perch. Then halfway through our session, I posed a question to the guy, and he abruptly stood up, strode away, and didn't stop until he reached the other end of the stage. He faced the audience and gave his opinions. Everyone looked at him. Then the audience and I looked at each other. Within seconds, the Asian American female executive stood up and walked away from the couch and stood in the middle of the stage. Facing the audience, she issued her opinions. I was left all by myself on the human-consuming Italian couch. The audience looked at my panelists. Then they looked at me. I could sense that they weren't sure if they had just witnessed something that was planned or where this session was heading. And neither did I. My brain was racing. I knew I had to act fast. If I got up from the couch, it would look like I was chasing after them and I had lost control of the panel. And frankly, I doubted my ability to extract myself from the couch and stand up gracefully. All I knew was that I had spent 6 long months preparing to be here, and I wasn't about to fail. The same people who were in the room today needed to show up tomorrow and listen to my keynote. And that's when I heard my inner Queen's girl voice shouting inside of me. Do something. Talk to the audience. So I did. I began to run the event like a group therapy session meets a National Geographic documentary. Saying things like, "Did you see what just happened? The white guy left the group and is now standing way over there. What was he thinking? Did he stop to consider how this would change our communications? Oh, what do you think about what happened next? She had to go and claim her space so she could be heard." We continued from there. My 2 panelists, 500 pivoting heads, and my racing brain. But it wasn't over yet. Next, I opened up the floor for unvetted question and answers, during which time many thoughtful comments about DEI initiatives and experiences were exchanged. Then a man got up and asked the glass ceiling breaking Asian American executive female a question about her recent resignation and the new role she would be assuming. She responded telling us that she had literally left her former employer and had gotten on a plane to come to this conference. She proceeded to describe her last days in the office and how she had heard from so many employees. They had described how seeing someone who looked like her in a senior role had motivated and inspired them. It had made a difference in how they had viewed themselves and their possibilities. She went on to say that she didn't realize what a difference she had made or that she had even made an impact, and decided to describe one conversation in particular. In doing so, her voice began to waver and crack. She began to cry. Her co-panelist was taken by surprise, and for a moment looked caught in a full body lock of indecision. Then he broke free and crossed the stage to stand next to her. He didn't put his arm around her, but just stood there quietly. The audience knew that what just happened was not rehearsed. Again, they directed their gaze at me. I looked back at them and at my panelists for a few moments. Then I spoke from my perch. We came prepared to talk about DEI and the importance of it, and to give you multiple reasons why it matters. But I think what we just witnessed speaks louder than any prepared talking points. She shared her story, and you listened. I think we're done. And we were. Oh, and my keynote went great the next day. Everyone laughed.